Hello, I'm Jess, and welcome to the Siren top pattern video, where I will teach you how to make this top. And if you would like to make this skirt, the Siren skirt, I have the pattern available on my website along with the written pattern for the top. So you can get that on there. If you want to turn this into a dress, I have instructions for that at the end of the video, so stick around for that. Here is what the dress looks like. I'll do a little, one of those things. Hello again. So this pattern is a beginner pattern. It's made to measure, so you can use any yarn that you like, any hook that you'd like. I'm using a Cotton and Mohair yarn. A stitch marker would help for this, but you don't need it. And any information for this pattern that you need should be in the description below. Again, if you want the written pattern, it is on my website along with the skirt written pattern. And without further ado, let's get into it. Imagine I have like a fairy one and I'm like, let's get into it. And then I disappear and then we like fade into the next section. That's what's gonna happen. So here are my materials that I'm using for this top. Both of these yarns are from Hobby Yarn. This is called Cotton Kings. This is called Diablo Mohair. I'm using a size 2.75 millimeter hook and I have a scissor. This top is made to measure, so you can use any kind of yarn, any size hook. You don't have to use mohair, you can use a plant-based similar type of yarn to mohair, or you can just use cotton for both. We're going to start with the bust section with the cotton or whatever yarn you choose, and then we're going to work on to the sleeves and then the bottom lace section. So let's start by making the bust. Grab whichever yarn you want to use for that and your hook, and let's get into it. Alright, to start our top, we're going to begin with a slip knot, and then we're going to do a foundation double crochet. If you don't know how to do a foundation double crochet, I have a detailed video on my page of how to do that, so you can check that out. But we are just going to foundation double crochet as long as you need to fit around your bust, and make sure when you find the final measurement, you're really stretching it out, so when the top is finished, the bust section isn't too loose. It's like nice and tight and fits the way that you want it to. So make your foundation double crochet as long as you need, and then once you're done, check the amount of stitches you have. Make sure it's a multiple of 6, and once you finish that, make sure it's still the length that you need, and then we will meet for row 2. Alright, so I finished my half double crochet. I have 114 stitches. That's a multiple of 6. You want it to be a multiple of 6 so the amount of chains you have here can be even all the way around. So find your multiple of 6 that fits your bust the way you want it to. So the ends of my foundation double crochet just reach each other while being stretched, but I want it that way so the top is tight enough that it doesn't fall down and that it's comfortable and I can like dance and run around in it. Without it falling down. So that's how I want my top to be, but you can make your length as long as you need it to, as long as it's a multiple of 6. So let's get into row 2. Alright, to start row 2, we're going to chain 2, flip our work. Our chain 2 counts as our first double crochet. Some people like doing chain 3, but I've found recently that chain 2 fits my double crochet size better, but do either one, whichever works for you. So that counts as our first double crochet, so we're not going to crochet into that first stitch, we're going to double crochet into the next stitch. And then we're just going to double crochet into every single stitch in this row. So continue double crocheting in every stitch in this row, and then repeat the same row until the section of this top is as long as you want it to be. And then once you finish that, we'll move on to the next section. Alright, here is this section of the top completed. I have 17 rows and that worked for my size. Next, we're going to close the back of this section. So we're just going to do a chain long enough to lace up the back. So we're going to start with a slip knot. And then chain as long as you need to lace up the back. And then when you have a chain link long enough, we will lace up the back and then move on to the next section. If you want a little more support than just a chain, you can do a foundation single crochet or a foundation half double crochet, and I have a video on how to do both of those on my page, so you can check that out. But once you're done, we are going to bind off grab your top, and then we're gonna just lace this through. We're gonna start at the top, and we're just gonna go through each of these holes, and you can skip one, skip two, whatever you want. I'm gonna go through, I think, every one of them because I like the support that comes from going through each of them, and it keeps it more square rather than like having it bunch up when you only have like 3 points of contact. But I go right through with my hook, and then I pull it through, and I leave a little bit of space because I still have to put it on, and then I just keep continuing that. I'll go to this one next, and then this one, and then just keep continuing that until you get to the bottom, and then we'll meet up after you do that. All right, here it is done. I ended up going through every other row because I didn't have enough to do each row, but I think that looks good, and I think it'll be supportive enough. So next we are going to try on our top and start our sleeves, so let's do that. So we're gonna try on our top. It's not much right now, but if you have stitch markers, this is a great time to use them. I'm just gonna use 2. You can use 4 if you want, but we'll try on our top. Once you have it on, make sure that the back seam is lined up in the middle of your back. And once it's all lined up, you're gonna take your stitch markers, or you can use safety pins, anything like that, and just mark where you want your straps to be. I think right here in the front is good. Just kind of imagine, I'm also looking at these straps and they seem to be in line there. And then same thing with the back. Find wherever you want the back straps to be. And if you're only using 2 like I am, I'm just gonna count the amount of stitches from here to here, and then stitches from here to here, and do the same thing from here to here, and then from here to here. Like just counting the same amount so you know it's equal. And then once you have your ideal placement for the stitch markers, you can take off the top, and we'll move to the next section. All right, now with the same yarn you used for the bust section, we're going to attach that to the back stitch marker that you added. Just knot that on. Now you can take that off, and if you want right now, you can count the same amount of stitches. On this side, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. 1, 2, 9, 10. I'm just gonna add this stitch marker to the other side now at the same stitch count from the end of this row. And then we're gonna chain as long as you need for your strap. And once you get to a point where you think it's the right length, you can try on your top and just double check everything, and then make sure that it is a multiple of 6. All right, so this is looking like a good length for me. I have 60 stitches right now, so hopefully it does work, but I'm gonna try it on. Just make sure that the length is good, and then I'll show you what to do once you get the right length. So I'm gonna try it on just to make sure that the length of the strap is good. All right, that looks good to me. I think any longer would be too long. So let's attach this on now. Now that you've found the right length for your strap, you're going to slip knot right onto the stitch that you marked in the front, adjacent to the back stitch on the same side. And then we will bind off. And just like the lace in the back, if you want it to be more supportive, you can do a foundation single crochet or foundation half double crochet, even foundation double crochet, whatever you need. Again, I have a video of that on my page. So now do the same exact thing you did on this side, on the other side, and then we will move on to the lace part of the sleeves. All right, now that you have your straps done, we are going to add the lace netting section of the sleeves. So choose one sleeve, and then attach your yarn to the first chain on the front of the strap. Then we're gonna chain 7, skip 5 stitches, and then single crochet in the next stitch. Then we're gonna repeat chain 7, skip 5 stitches, single crochet in the next stitch until you get to the end of the strap. You should end in the last chain on a single crochet. All right, this is how row 1 should look. For row 2, we're going to turn our work, slip stitch in the next 4 stitches, chain 7, then we're going to treble crochet into the first chain 7 from the previous row, so right in this same space right here. We're going to do 5 treble crochets total. This is how it should look to start. Then we are going to chain 7, single crochet in the chain 7 from the previous row, and then we're going to repeat that, chain 7, and then single crochet in the chain 7 from the previous row until we get to the last chain 7, and we are going to do 5 TR in that, so I'll meet you when we get there. Alright, once you get to the last chain 7 from the previous row, we're going to do 5 treble crochets around that chain 7. And once you have the 5 treble crochets, you're going to chain 7, and then single crochet around that same chain 7 from the previous row. And that's the end of row 2. For row 3, we're going to turn our work, slip stitch in the next 4 stitches, then chain 7, then put 5 treble crochets into the 3rd treble crochet from the group of 5 treble crochet from the previous row. Say that 5 times fast. And once you have 5, we're going to chain 7, single crochet around the chain 7 from the row before, and then we're going to repeat chain 7, single crochet around the chain 7 from the previous row until you get to the 5 treble crochets from the previous row at the end, and I will meet you when we get there. Alright, once we get to the treble crochets from the last row, we're going to chain 7 and then put 5 treble crochets into the 3rd treble crochet from the group of 5 from the previous row. So right here we'll do 5 treble crochets, and once you have 5, we'll chain 7 and then single crochet into the last chain 7 from the previous row. And for the rest of the sleeve, you're just going to repeat row 3, go back and forth until you get to the length that you want. You'll notice that the amount of chain 7s in between each group of treble crochets is going to increase, so it's going to get wider and wider and wider. Here's a reminder of what it will look like. I did 7 rows on this one, but just make it as long as you'd like it to be, and once you finish one sleeve, just do the same exact thing to the other sleeve, and then we will move on to the bottom lace net section here. Alright, here are both my sleeves completed. This is how it looks when you're looking at it this way. So once you finish both of your sleeves, we'll move on to the section below, this section down here. So we're going to start with our top upside down. So looking at our top upside down, we are going to attach our yarn to the first stitch on the left side. So we're going to start right here, attach your yarn. We're going to start with a chain 1, and then we are going to single crochet into that same stitch, and then we're going to chain 7, skip 5 stitches, and then single crochet in the next stitch. So we're going to repeat chain 7, skip 5 stitches, single crochet in the next stitch, all the way around the bottom of the bra section of the top, and then we're going to end with the single crochet in the last stitch on the at the end of the row. And when you're done with that, we'll move on to row 2. Alright, for the sake of making this easier to see, I undid the back, the lace in the back, so I'm flattening it out. So this is row 1. We've just got a bunch of chain 7s here. For row 2, we are going to chain 7, turn our work, single crochet around the chain 7 from the previous row, and then chain 7. So we'll repeat the single crochet and then the chain 7 until we get to the last chain 7 from this row, and then I will meet you there and I'll tell you what to do to end the row. Alright, once you single crochet in the last chain 7 from the previous row, we're going to chain 3 and then treble crochet into the single crochet that we made in the first row right in the beginning. It should end up looking like this. So we're making a flat edge. For row 3, we're going to chain 1, then turn our work, single crochet in that same first stitch, then we're going to chain 7, single crochet in the chain 7 from the previous row, and then we'll repeat chain 7, single crochet until we get to the last chain 7, and I'll tell you what to do. When you reach the last chain 7 from the row before, you're going to single crochet in the 4th chain to end this row. And then for the rest of this section, you're just going to repeat rows 2 and 3 until you reach your desired length. I'd recommend ending on row 2 if you want to leave it as a shirt, but if you want to turn it into a dress, end on row 3 and continue to the next few sections of this video. If you're leaving it as a shirt, there's one more section to scrunch up the middle of the shirt. So move on to that section once you finish the lace, and then you'll be done after that once you sew in all your ends. But finish this lace section and then go on to the next section and I'll tell you what to do. Alright, so I did a few more rows of this netting section at the bottom. Next we're going to scrunch up the middle of the top here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the yarn that we used for this like bra bust section here, and we're just going to chain about the length of the height of it doubled. So let's start with a slip knot. Then we'll chain. Alright, that's about a good length, just double the height of it like that. Then we'll bind off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find the very middle, so you can either find it from end to end or you can just start at the 2 straps because that should be even. So I found my center, that's here. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to run this chain through this center stitch all the way down until I get to the bottom. Alright, and once you have it all through the center, you can either tie a knot in the middle, so you're going to scrunch it up. So you can either tie this bow in the front like this, and you kind of just shimmy it around, or you can tie it in the back. Just flip it around, send it back here to hide the bow. I think I'm gonna hide the bow, but if you like the look of a bow, keep that in the front. And I like that look better, to not see the bow. But you can go either way, but that's how you scrunch it up. If you are keeping it as a top, you are done here. All you have to do is thread this lace back through the back, so you can close it in the back, and then just hide all your yarn tails, and then you're done with the top. If you want to keep going and make it a dress and attach it to this skirt, which by the way is available on my website right now, as is the written pattern for the top. So you can get the written pattern for the top and for the skirt with a video for the skirt on my website, and that's linked below. So if you want to make it a dress, you'll need to get the skirt pattern, but if you want to do that, keep watching and I will show you how to attach it to the skirt. Alright, here it is done. the Siren top with the Siren skirt. Alright, here's the Siren top with the Siren skirt, all finished together. Alright, here it is done. We've got the Siren top with the Siren skirt. Again, if you want the skirt pattern, it's on my website. If you want the written pattern for this top, that is also on my website. They come together. So if you want to turn this into a dress, we'll do that next. What we'll do is one more row of this netting section, and we'll work into the netting section as well as the skirt at the same time. So let's get into that. And here we'll do our thingy again, where I go like, and then the fairy dust takes me away. All right, so to make it a dress, like I said, we're going to add one more row of this lace netting to the bottom of this, but as we do that, we're going to be working into the waistband at the same time. To find out the spacing between each point of contact of the mohair to the waistband, to find out the amount of stitches in between each of those single crochets that we're going to do, we have to do a little bit of math. So what we have to do is divide the amount of stitches in our waistband plus 1, because we have an extra single crochet at the end. So we're going to do the amount of stitches in your waistband plus 1 divided by the amount of chain 7s in the last row of your Siren's net. So for me, the math is there's 148 stitches in my waistband. I'm adding 1 to it, so that's 148 divided by 19, which is the amount of chain 7s I have in the last row of my Siren's net. So that comes out to 7 with a remainder of 16. Since my remainder is high, I'm going to have 8 stitches in between each single crochet in the waistband, and then for only 3 of the in-between sections, I'll have 7 stitches. So that can get a little confusing. If you need any help with that, please feel free to reach out. Like, even in the comments of this video, just be like, hey, if I have this many stitches in my waistband and this many chain 7s in my Siren's net, how many, like, what's the answer? And I'll go through and try to answer as many as I can, but hopefully that made sense. So let's start. We are going to look at our work upside down, and we're going to start on the back. We're going to start at the seam here and at the seam here where our yarn is attached right now. So we'll turn it upside down and backwards. And like I said before, you should have ended on the instructions for row 3. So we're going to start by chaining 3. And then we're going to single crochet into the very first stitch of the waistband on the side that you're working on, which should be the left side. So we're going to single crochet in there. Then we're going to chain 3. And then single crochet into the first chain 7 from the previous row in the Siren's net. So we're going back and forth. Next we're going to chain 3. So now we're at the point where we're using the math we just did. So we're going to skip the amount of stitches of the number you just found, except we're going to skip 1 less than that because we're working into the next one. So for me, my number was 8, but I'm going to skip 7 and then single crochet into the next stitch because that counts as a whole section. So I'm skipping 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to single crochet into the 8th stitch. Then I'm going to chain 3. And now we're back in the Siren's net. I'm going to single crochet into that next chain 7 space. Chain 3. I'm skipping 7 stitches and then single crocheting into the 8th. And you're skipping X amount of stitches is what I'll call it from now on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So single crochet there. And then we're going to chain 3 and just repeat going back and forth between these two, between the top and the skirt. And don't forget about your remainder. For me, I'll have 3 of these sections in between the single crochets on the waistband that will only have 7 stitches in between, or sorry, that will only have 6 stitches in between instead of 7, and then single crocheting into the 8th. I'll do 6 skips and then single crochet into the 7th. So continue that all the way around until the end, and I'll tell you what to do when we get there. Alright, once you single crochet into your last chain 7 from the Siren's net, you're going to chain 3, single crochet into the last stitch in your waistband, and then you're going to treble crochet in the single crochet from the previous row of the Siren's net, right here. And then you're going to bind off and you're done. Alright, so you do have the option to do what we did with the bra section, to create like a chain to tie this up in the back. I think I have just enough yarn. This is what I ended with. Played a fun game of yarn chicken. So I think I'll do that. I think I'll add a little lace to tie this up in the back to close it up. And then you're done. All you gotta do is your yarn tails, and then you have a dress, and that's it. Alright, here is the dress complete. All you have to do is hide your yarn tails, and then you're done. A reminder, if you want the skirt pattern, which if you've already made the dress, I assume you've already gotten it, but it's on my website along with the written pattern for the top. Yeah, but thank you so much for watching this video. This is my first free pattern video, so it's very exciting, and there will definitely be more. And that's all I have for you. Have a lovely life. Love you all. Bye.